This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. We're so glad you could join us for today's show. We are here from the World Pork Expo at the Iowa State Fairgrounds here in Des Moines. Lots of great things and discussions going on already today, and I'll have my coverage today interview with NPPC CEO Bryan Humphreys. Lots of great discussion on Prop 12 and other policy things that are going on in the pork industry right now. As for right now, though, let's go ahead and take a look at the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, we're joined by Tyler Schau of agmarket.net. Of course, we are here at the World Pork Expo today. First off, Tyler, how are things looking in the grain markets today?
Grain market's taking it on the chin a little bit today. You've got your corn, old crop July down about 5.5 cents right at the moment, 6.03. Your new crop contracts are all down in that 11 to 12 cent range. Kind of the same story in beans. Your old crop contracts of July and August are positive. Really, the only grains that show up on my screen as positive today. The rest are all under some pressure. Wheat really getting blasted today, down 32 cents in Kansas City and down 25 in Minneapolis. So, grain market, we're in a weather market. It's all going to depend on the forecasts and if they shape up the way that the weathermen are predicting. And today it's just a little more bearish than bullish.
Right, and with the wheat prices in particular, we heard that Russia's just selling really cheap wheat right now. Is that the primary thing behind kind of the really kind of a downward plummet today?
Yeah, we had a spike in the overnight last night on the news of the dam that was exploded in the Ukraine. As we woke up, wheat was much higher. There was a big sell-off, and I think it just comes back to just the poor demand, not necessarily for commodities in general, but poor demand for U.S. commodities. We're still higher priced than any other market in the world, and the world's going to go value shop. They're going to find it cheaper, and until those prices come up or our prices come down, it's going to be tough to have a rally outside anything of a weather market.
And, with that weather market, it's a little bit of a confusing time because we are getting some rains, throughout the Corn Belt. But the issue is that those rains aren't moving anywhere. They might sit over an area for a little bit, and dump off some moisture, and then that's it. So we still have that persisting dryness that's kind of continuing, especially through the eastern Corn Belt. So that's probably weighing heavy as well, right?
Yeah, that's it's very dry in the eastern Corn Belt. And as anyone that's ever been in a drought, so I'm in Western North Dakota, and we always say that we're never more than a couple of weeks away from a drought. Anyone that's ever been in a drought knows dry, arid conditions can make it tougher to get that precipitation. And so you're seeing that. You're going to have pockets, like I said. I saw where Fort Dodge got pretty good rains yesterday, I believe. Talked to a customer in around Marshalltown, Iowa this morning. He said he was right in the middle of a downpour. But you're right; those rain events tend to pop up in isolated areas, dump a bunch in some areas, and 20, 30 miles away they get less than a tenth of an inch, and so it kind of becomes a game of the haves and have-nots. What farmers need, or what the market needs to kind of figure out some direction in this price is a $1 billion rain where we get an inch to inch and a half to 2 inches and across the majority of the Corn Belt, and there just really doesn't seem to be any of that forecasted. It's isolated, probably going to see some heavy rains in some areas and none in some others, and so it'll be interesting to see how the next 2 weeks play out.
And then, of course, with us being at the World Pork Expo, this is obviously on the mind right now, but how are those livestock prices looking today as well?
Cat came under some pressure today. Feeder cattle were really hammered hard late in the day. Actually went and set some new highs. November feeders went up to 252 on the nose and ended up settling down at 245.80. So your feeder cattle contracts lost about $4 across the board today. Fat cattle under some pressure as well. Your June's holding in there pretty strong, but that's because the cash, that's in delivery mode. And as of right now, the cash market is actually higher than the board price. So that's going to keep that one afloat. Your back month contracts were under some pressure today. Cattle deal doesn't surprise me to see some pressure. We're at all-time highs, and people ask where's the resistance at, and there really isn't any when you're at all-time highs. It's just as much as people are going to want to pay, but it also makes the market jittery when no one really knows where that resistance is. You're going to see a lot of choppiness, my guess, over the next several months of it bouncing back and forth, trying to find out where it's comfortable. Hogs, hogs have not had a real great run up until last week. Hogs tend to leave V bottoms and V tops, which means they have sharp sell-offs. They finally find the bottom and they retrace those sell-offs relatively quickly. We seem to have done that in hogs, and maybe we're coming up to where that price should be, and the mid to upper 80 levels on the June, and mid to upper levels 80 levels on July hogs as well.
All right, Tyler, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners who would like to get in touch and learn more from the folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
Check us out on the internet, agmarket.net. If you want to call direct, the number 701-987-6009.
All right, thanks again, Tyler, for joining us today, as always, on the show, and we look forward to chatting with you again soon.
You bet. Take care.
Thanks again to the folks at agmarket.net for our closing market analysis today. Let's go ahead now and turn our attention to the closing numbers. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. July corn is down 3 3/4 at 604 1/4. December new crop down 10 1/4 at 530 3/4. July soybeans up 7 1/2 at 1360 3/4. November new crop down 6 1/4 at 1178 1/2. July soybean meal up 850 at 405.20. Soybean oil down 45 at 50.47. Chicago wheat down 11 even at 616 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 22 1/2 at 794 even. Kansas City hard red wheat down 32 1/4 at 788 even. July oats down 2 1/2 at 344 1/4. On the Merc, June live cattle down 82 at 179 even. August feeders down 415 at 239.10. Lean hogs down 60 at 87.70. June pork cutout down 130 at 89.10. Class 3 milk up 2 cents at 15.26. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I talk with National Pork Producers Council CEO Bryan Humphreys. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, you can probably tell that we're at the World Pork Expo today because just behind me we have the Iowa Pork Producers Association giving out ribs and pork sandwiches to attendees and other media here today just to spread awareness for the pork industry and give everybody some affordable and nutritious pork products from the state of Iowa. Now, I had the chance to talk with National Pork Producers Council CEO Bryan Humphreys about some of the issues we're seeing going on right now. Of course, Prop 12 being a big one, but also just looking at WOTUS and other state-of-the-industry events that we need to be thinking of currently in the pork industry. Well, we are here at the first day of the World Pork Expo here in Des Moines at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, talking with National Pork Producers Council CEO Bryan Humphreys. Now, Bryan, we just kicked off that first session, that public policy session of the World Pork Expo. Obviously, a lot of things to talk about, but first off, how great is it just to have another year, this 35th year of the World Pork Expo?
Absolutely, very excited about the 35th year of World Pork Expo, and as I told folks this morning, I came here as a kid with my dad and my brothers, and it's been phenomenal to watch the change of the industry through World Pork Expo, the science and technology and the advancements that have come to the industry. Been fun to watch and fun to be a part of. Hoping for a tremendous crowd and a tremendous turnout here. The state of the industry, we face some real challenges out there, high input prices, a little bit lesser domestic demand than we'd care to see at this point, strong international demand for product, which is always beneficial, but a bit of a struggle out there. So hoping for a good crowd today, and to remind folks the benefit of being in the pork industry and the options and technology that's available to help their business and the industry grow. So.
Right, and yeah, obviously you just touched on it, but what is that big state of the industry right now? Because honestly, last week, end of the week, we're looking at, those pork prices weren't looking too good. But heading into today, I mean, we're like $11 higher than where we were last week. So just how are things looking right now? Obviously, we know other big topics that we'll cover as well.
Absolutely, and keep in mind, we've got some pretty high input prices at the same time now, because it's not just the pork industry that's struggling, though. As users of those products, we do hurt a bit, but even our brethren in the commodity and the crop side are hurting with input costs and things as well. And so with high input prices, having higher hog markets are great, but our break even just isn't quite there yet. And so it's a challenge for us, and hope summer demand for folks out there really picks up. And for those folks that are watching this, I sure hope they don't just go buy one pork burger, they buy 5 or 6 and introduce them to their neighbors as well. And that's what we really need here, is an increase in demand and help folks realize the value of a nutritional product like a pork burger.
Right, and we know those other topics as well that we're kind of overcoming right now. Prop 12 was a big decision that we had to get over. Honestly, you look at that side of it, Prop 12 was passed through voters, going through on that, and we can tell, honestly, that a lot of it was just misinformation and just a lack of education on the pork industry, because as we talked about during that panel session, if people knew how this would impact the industry, how it impacts especially the consumer prices that they're dealing with, they probably would have had a different decision. So how does that advocacy side of things really play into what we've seen with Prop 12 so far?
Absolutely, it's a huge part. One of the reasons that MPPC was originally created back in '67 with the start of the Moline 90 was because they recognized that we needed to have a voice and an organization that would advocate on behalf of the American pork producers. And it comes down to, you have some extremists on the other side that don't understand or really seem to care about the long-term implications of the actions that they make and the effect it's going to have on the American consumer. And so I'm proud of MPPC for taking, with our partners at the American Farm Bureau Federation, taking a case to the U.S. Supreme Court to defend the American consumer. And yeah, it was about Prop 12, but the reality was it was about the implications it was going to have on the California consumer. And we're starting to see it today, right? Trading partners, our competitors worldwide, other countries are looking at the opportunity to import pork products into California. And what a shame is that, right? That we have a state with 40 million people right here in the continental United States that because of a misguided extremist group pushing legislation is now going to import product from overseas. And they talk about their carbon footprint, they talk about sustainability, and here we are. And this is what we're talking about today. In 2023, the U.S. pork industry is less competitive in California than perhaps some of our foreign trading partners. That's a real challenge. And my point with that is less about California, but the impact that these ballot measures or regulations, when not really thought through and driven by the market, can have. And the beauty of the American pork producer is we're about free market. If consumers want something and they're willing to pay for it, we'll find a way to make it happen. It's when you start regulating through state policy to drive those changes without understanding the long-term implications that we have serious consequences, not just for our industry, but for our consumers. And ultimately, that's what we're here for, is the American consumer.
Right, and like you said, a nearsighted change, because obviously we want to see good things for the animals that we raise to happen, but that needs to be science-based, and we haven't seen that so far. And of course, the biggest impact is going to be on those lower-income consumers, because we know that pork is an affordable and very nutritious product that they can have and keep them healthy as well. Now we're just kind of taking that option away for those consumers.
Absolutely, and never question that the American pork producers' desire to do right by the animal. The National Pork Board, funded by producer dollars, MPPC, we have funded, state associations have funded tremendous amount of research on animal welfare and the best animal housing practices. We live by the We Care ethical principles. Our goal and our desire is to take as good of care of these animals as we possibly can. And I think that the dollars of research, the the things that we have done on behalf of the industry to drive those types of changes has been exactly to that point, to care for the animals, not just the animals, but the employees who work there in the communities that we operate in. This was about an extremist group driving change.
All right, and then of course, that decision that we saw from the Supreme Court, not necessarily super favorable to the pork industry. They did acknowledge, though, that there were some issues with it. So what's just kind of a basic overview of what's next for NPPC and the pork industry as a whole when we're thinking of Prop 12?
Absolutely. So in the ruling, they while we lost, they did all agree that this was a problem. Not all. A significant majority of the court recognized that this was a problem, but it wasn't their problem. It was Congress's problem, and so we understand that, and we're disappointed in the court ruling, of course, but our direction from the court is clear. It's Congress's, and so we're continuing to have those conversations in Washington, D.C. There's a couple of bills that have been introduced that have some potential. We're continuing to look at those and meet with the sponsors of those legislations, but really looking at how can we work on a bipartisan solution that is beneficial to not only our industry but all of agriculture as we look forward here, because we're all in this together, and we need to make sure that we have a solution that fits all of agriculture, and that's what we're going to be angling towards.
All right, and then of course, kind of back to the advocacy side of things, that's what this event is for, bringing all those producers together and even just showing off to the rest of the world, the rest of the nation at least, that this is what the pork industry is about. And of course, we'll have a lot of information and people to speak with here today, tomorrow, and Friday to kind of make that possible, right?
Absolutely, we're expecting a good crowd here today. But this industry is tremendous, not only for the U.S. economy with 610,000 jobs, but this industry is a lifeblood of rural America. In the products that we buy, the 1.6 billion bushels of corn that we purchase, the soybean meal that we utilize. U.S. pork production helps drive a rural America, and we should be proud of that. And so let's take the time at World Pork Expo to celebrate the impact that we have on helping rural America remain strong.
And Bryan, is there anything else our listeners and our viewers should know about today when it comes to what the NPPC is up to, or just things in the pork industry in general?
A number of things. So we talked a lot about Prop 12, but it is one of many, many topics that NPPC works on. And we talk a little bit about global trade. We talk about foreign animal disease prevention and preparedness, our work on the Farm Bill, work on labor we recognize is continuing to be a challenge in the industry. We continue to strive towards solutions for that. The number of topics that our board of directors at NPPC, the producers that lead us, discuss in every board meeting is pretty exhaustive, because we're not a single issue organization. We're here for an entire industry that we hope remains strong for generations to come, and that takes pretty wide bandwidth. So a number of issues. Encourage folks to go to mppc.org and to learn more about us and the number of topics that we're working on, or reach out to one of our team members. Happy to talk to folks about everything we're working on.
Bryan, thanks for taking the time to visit with us today, and good luck with the rest of the Pork Expo.
I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for the pork producers who came out.
That again was National Pork Producers Council CEO Bryan Humphreys. As for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, as I'm recording this, I actually feel a few sprinkles from the sky, and you can tell in the video that we have some cloudy skies today. It does seem like we will get some rain later on, and that is what the forecast shows for today, just some isolated showers across the state. Looking into the end of the week, into tomorrow, we're seeing those isolated showers kind of push off to the west, and then really we're just looking at mostly sunny skies again and some nice spring/summer weather. So let's see what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, some thunderstorms will persist through the forecast a little bit. Today we have variably sunny skies with a chance for scattered storms and showers, highs ranging from the upper 70s to about 90. Tonight we have scattered thunderstorms in the west, otherwise it will be partly cloudy, lows ranging from about 50 to the low 60s. Tomorrow there's a chance for thunderstorms once again in western Iowa, otherwise it will be mostly sunny across the state. Tomorrow's highs ranging from the upper 70s to low 80s. And taking a look at the affiliate weather map for tomorrow, Cherokee will see isolated thunderstorms and then mostly sunny skies with a high around 83. Shenandoah, a chance for isolated thunderstorms as well, high of 82. Des Moines, mostly sunny and 79. Waterloo, mostly sunny and 79 as well. Albia, once again, mostly sunny and 79. Clinton will see sunny skies and a high around 78. For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, make sure to check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. That's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can find all of our video content as well as previous episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free Twice Daily Market podcasts on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa State Fairgrounds here at the World Pork Expo, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Dustin Huffman and Mark Magnuson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.